There has been a terror attack by Hamas, and they have taken responsibility for this. Just moments after a extension of this ceasefire for at least one more day, where they are supposed to deliver 10 more what they call detainees, which is disgusting, hostages. They are civilians. We will see again if they were even able to deliver 10 living hostages tonight. So that barely got extended. And then, right after the extension, two Hamas-backed terrorists opened fire in Jerusalem, killing 3 Jews and injuring 11 other Israelis. And they targeted a Chabad rabbi and in an area of Jerusalem that is kind of a little bit more sparsely populated. So obviously a planned attack on an easily identifiable Jewish community by clothing. But again, this is how Hamas operates. They will get the truce done, and at the same time, their affiliates will go and carry out an attack inside. I think it's important to point out another attack by Hamas inside the borders of Israel.
Correct. And what's important to note here is, as you said, this came on the heels within hours of a final agreement. Last night at about midnight Eastern time, there still had not been a decision whether the truce would continue. So there was real thought that this may not go forward. Hamas was saying they're running out of hostages to deliver. And in that regard, the war could have started right back up. It's going to be, I think we're just days away anyways. But the point is, Hamas agrees to it and then at the same time launches out of the West Bank an attack on Jews and Israelis in Jerusalem. And they did this knowing they just agreed to the truce.
A Hamas attack inside the borders of Israel. There was another at a checkpoint in the West Bank, but there were 3 Jews killed today by Hamas-linked terrorists inside Israel.
In Jerusalem, in fact, not far from where I am. That's true. It was a car pulled up to looks like a bus stop, but Israel, because it's such a small country and people know each other and feel comfortable, hitchhiking is very common. So people stand there and wait. And it started with the soldiers, but civilians use it. In this case, there were dozens of civilians there, or a couple dozen civilians, and a car pulled up, and Arabs from Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, who were affiliated with Hamas in the past and have been arrested and released because I don't think there was blood on their hands before. But now there is. They came out and they started shooting and they injured many and they killed 3. And then they were, as they say, neutralized. They were killed there as well. So yes, this is ongoing. And in fact, there's been an uptick of violence, but thank God, or attempted terrorism reportedly. But thank God the security forces have been able to stop almost all of them.
You know, Sisi said something before, and this is true. This Jeff, this comes on the heels of Hamas saying we're extending the truce for a day. And go ahead.
Yeah, I just said this is a perfect example of Hamas's agreement to a ceasefire. This is what they deem a ceasefire. We're going to get out and shoot and kill 3 people and injure 11. That's how Hamas agrees to a ceasefire, and that's what they consider a ceasefire.
And Jeff, that's the problem. I mean, we're dealing with. I never thought these words would come out of my mouth because I don't like comparing anything to the Nazis. I know you don't like that either. But this is like the Nazis and ISIS combined.
No, Jay, I agree with you. Listen, we share a certain history, Jay. I mean, my grandparents were killed by the Nazis. Trust me, most of my family was wiped out. These are worse, Jay, than Nazis, in my opinion, because first of all, the world has what took place in Europe then in the rearview mirror. So we know what's possible. And they are using that, and they're more barbaric, and they're proud of it.
Hamas today, hours after they sign they agreed to this extension of the truce, sent out suicide individuals to kill Jews, and I'm just going to say it like it is, at a bus stop in Jerusalem. Random killing. But Hamas immediately took credit for it. They have to really be eliminated here. I mean, totally eliminated.
Jay, this is the barbarism we saw on October 7th, and they've made no bones about it. The Hamas folks, they're going to stay at this. October 7th will be repeated over and over again until Israel is gone. That means only one thing for the nation of Israel. You're right. It's at more risk today than it has been since 1948. There are 2 reasons for that. The first is the Islamic Republic of Iran. They are funding, they are driving this. We shouldn't forget there's the northern border risk as well from Hezbollah, and certainly out of Syria as well, the Iranian-backed rebels that are in Syria. But the second reason, Jay, that I worry is the one that you identified, which is this risk of public opinion, right?
Yeah.
If the world forgets the history of this place, the rightful homeland of the Jewish people, if it is putting more restrictions on Israel than it puts on Hamas, that is a very dangerous political place. And so all of us, and the ACLJ has been at the forefront of this for an awfully long time, all of us have a responsibility to remind people how we got to this moment, why it is Israel's having to go engage in conflict in Gaza. It's not because they picked up their weapons on a Wednesday. It's because 1,200 people were raped and burned and killed. And that won't end until the threat is gone. And that threat requires not only eliminating Hamas, but America leading the coalition to push back against the Islamic Republic of Iran. If those two things don't happen, we don't get the recognition, the political recognition in the right place, then there's an enormous amount of risk for Israel and for the United States.
Our European Center for Law and Justice and our government affairs team in Washington are working on this European delegation trip that's going to be for the hostages next week. And we've got to start turning our attention also to what is going to be a long-term war and the legal challenges that are going to come as a result of that. And I know those are all coming. So this is where you come in. And I want to be clear here. I'm going to give you exactly what it is. We are $1,050,000 behind where we were last year. We want to close that gap. If we had the day that we could have today, this is one of the biggest giving days of the year, the last day of November, and this is the last day of our Faith and Freedom Drive. If we can have the kind of day that we think we could have, we could reduce that by maybe 30%, which would give us a really good opportunity in December to come in and make up that gap. And we need to make up that gap, folks. We got big plans. Here's where you come in. Go to aclj.org right now and become a donor to the ACLJ. Any amount you donate, it'll be doubled. So we have someone that's going to match that gift. You go to aclj.org/faith and freedom or go right to the website. There's a button right on the screen. We encourage you to do that. If you can make that a monthly gift, a recurring gift, you become an ACLJ champion, and that drastically changes how we do things.
Yeah, it does. I mean, again, so you come up with an amount that you're comfortable with being automatically deducted from your account each month. So if you decided today this would be the day it would be deducted for your account next month. And so you, again, become a recurring donor. But to us, that's not just a recurring donor. That's an ACLJ champion, because we can then plan to say, you know, we have these resources we know are coming in, and something popped up that couldn't be no one could plan for. But we don't have to think about, can we or can we not get involved? All these cases in the U.S., all these cases around the world, we're talking about war, hostages, life or death. Support the work of the ACLJ. Donate today. Double your impact. Be an ACLJ champion if you can. Make that recurring donation. Check that box, aclj.org.